Hi folks, it's Miss Randall here. So you've already been introduced to how to use Commonlit and how to complete the questions. And now I'm going to teach you how to use it to annotate a poem or short story. We'll use poems for the sake of this exercise since they're shorter. But we can also apply the same exact techniques in our analysis of short stories or even in larger pieces of literature, though this is specifically for this platform. So note that in each of the assignments I give you, I'm going to tell you what to take notes on. And in Commonlit, that's going to appear in this gray box right here. So for this poem, Invictus by William Ernest Henley, I want you to take notes on the poem's form, how it contributes to the tone of the speaker. So we're going to pay attention to two main things, form and tone. So form being things like rhyme, rhythm, where the stanzas break and such. And tone being the author's attitude toward the topic. And so those are the main things that we're going to note. Okay? That's not to say that you shouldn't pay attention to anything else, any other figurative language techniques, but that might clutter your page a little bit more if you do. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you encounter these texts is actually not to write anything at all. Really just enjoy the piece for what it is. Okay? Now for short stories, you'll probably want to take notes as you go along. But for poems, get a good feel of it first. So I'll go ahead and read. Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. So after you read it once through, you'll probably get a sense of some of the things you might want to pay attention to. But certainly what we can do after this is make a note on the theme of the central message of the poem, because that's always important to whatever you're talking about. This shows you the significance of why are we talking about tone? Why are we talking about form? Well, both of those enhance the poem's meaning. Okay? So I'll make a note at the end. And I'll add an annotation and identify what the theme is to me. So I'm thinking, okay, well, it's talking about this guy who is, in kind of a bad place, in the fell clutch of circumstance. And he says, but the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. And it doesn't matter how hard it is. I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. So there seems to be this trend of perseverance, going through tough times. And so that kind of tells me that the theme of the poem has something to do with meeting adversity head on, being a necessary thing to persevere. So it always helps to have a good baseline of what meaning you've identified before you really go into other annotations. So this is why this poem is significant. Right now, I have to look for form and I have to look for tone. So let's focus on form first. So we're looking for rhythm, rhyme scheme, stanza breaks. Okay, well, we've got 4 stanzas of 4 lines each. And so it seems pretty even, okay, even in treatment. So I'll make a note here and I'll tell those things. So 4 stanzas, 4 lines each. And the effect of that is, it seems like a very even poem. Okay? It's very steady. kind of going along with meeting adversity head on. Okay, you're steadily going through something. But I'll also note what the rhyme scheme is. So we've looked at noting rhyme scheme before, and we always look at the end words and kind of use that rhyme ending and attach a letter to it. So we see me rhymes with B, pole with soul. So E is this A rhyme, and O is this B rhyme. So it's A, B, A, B. Okay, and then let's see if it continues throughout the poem. Right, stance and chance. Okay, that's C ending, ants, and oud. Okay, so oud seems to be the ending. So A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D. And if we go through the rest of the poem, we'll see that that kind of trend continues. So the rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, etc. And if it changes, you'll want to mark where that change happens. But since this is so regular, we can simply mark that it is regular. And we'll also note the effect of that, okay, because that might contribute to the tone. So it's so very even. And we're seeing, oh, well, this seems very regular. And again, brings this steady energy to the poem. Now, form can also talk about rhythm. And I'm not talking about scansion here. Some of you may know what scansion is, how to mark unstressed and stressed syllables, and what's an iamb versus a dactyl versus a trochee. I'm not asking for that. What you're wanting to find is, where is the emphasis? What words are emphasized with the rhythm? And so at the beginning, for example, I see that out of the night that covers me. Okay, I'll highlight it there. Black as the pit from pole to pole. I think whatever gods may be. Okay, so I might mark whatever for my unconquerable soul. And when I look at that within a stanza, I'll ask myself, what is the common thread between these? Night, black, pit, whatever, conquerable. These all seem to kind of have a negative connotation, or many of them do. And so I'll say, with an annotation, the rhythm emphasizes pain and misery, this blackness, this pit. But I'll also want to know when that changes, okay? So if I go through the poem a little later, I'll take a look at the end. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I and master seem to be emphasized. I am the captain of my soul. And those are very different words. They have much more positive connotation. Okay, so we can start to see that the tone is different. And so then the rhythm here emphasizes the self. Okay? And it's very empowering. So now we're starting to get into the tone words: empowering, miserable. So we're already starting to make notes of the tone. And so you'll go through like this, focusing mostly on the those. The last thing I want to make note of is when you're looking for how that form develops that tone, look for the tonal shift. There's always a change that happens. It may seem that a poem runs all the way through with the same tone, but I can bet you that there's something that changes. It's a change in perspective. And that's what you're going to look for. And so you may get lost in the poem a little bit. But the best thing to do is look for transition words. But or yet often really show you where to pay attention. And so we see this yet right here. And that's going to signal that tonal shift. So I'm going to mark it in a different color. I'm going to say signals tonal shift. And so I'll say the first part, let's say it's weighty. It has a grave tone. And the second part, toward the end, is triumphant. For whatever poem you do, find as many chunks as possible, because there may be more than two, but there will be at least two separate parts of the poem that signal this development of the author's perspective toward what they're talking about. And that essentially is how you'd annotate. Notice that I have quite a few different annotations. If I went through the whole thing, I'd also have more things highlighted, and I'll use different colors. And that's what I'm looking for in your individual annotations. But there you have it. If you have any questions, of course, reach out to me. But I hope you enjoyed the little video.